Hello influencers, and welcome to another episode of Chats with Champions, coming to you from a delightful Dublin. On this episode I have Igor Ledochowski. Hi Igor.
Hi, nice to meet
Welcome.
you.
Now Igor is a Master Hypnosis Trainer. He's the founder of Hypnosis Training Academy and someone who's created close to 100 products online, which is very impressive. So, Igor, first of all, thank you very much for coming on Chats with Champions, and just have a couple of questions for you. So,
sure.
So Igor, I've learned a lot from a couple of your products, and a lot of your products are related to influence and persuasion,
right,
and conversational hypnosis.
Of course.
What, in your eyes, or in your own words, why is influence and persuasion important?
So that's a big question. Yeah. Or really, in some ways, it's a small question. I think the better question would be, why wouldn't it be important? If you think about it, unless you want to live your life in isolation with no contact with other people, then every time you engage with someone, there's some kind of influence, some kind of persuasion going on. We don't necessarily see it that way. You know, if you're walking down the street and ask someone for the time, it doesn't sound like it's influence or persuasion, but really, you're doing it in a way that is going to be very likely to get the answer. You can definitely walk up to people and ask for the time in such an odd and scary way, they'll run away, right? Yeah. So even though we don't really appreciate it, every interaction we have with other people, when we need their cooperation, when we need some input from someone else, influence and persuasion is there. So, you know, without influence, I don't think we'd really have a society. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, very true, very true. And I suppose, do you have 3 tips for someone, like starter tips for someone that would like to be a little bit more influential?
Sure. Well, here's the first thing to recognize, and it's an important thing to recognize, which is you are already successful in a lot of ways. Because you can navigate the world, you can interact with other people, and as long as you can do that, there's a baseline there. Now, the reason I say that is because a lot of time people negate, it's called the negativity bias. They look at all the things they can't do and say, oh, look at how bad all this stuff is, and I wish I could do more of this. But they negate all the good things they already have. There's a foundation there. And any influence you want to build on the foundation you have. So ask yourself the first thing, which is, where am I already influential? Where is it already working? Even if it's in a very small scale, right? There's something that's working there. Now, if you look at that, if you look at your life, if I look at my life, if you guys look at your lives, you'll probably notice a couple of things. The first thing you'll notice is that most of the really successful influence that you've had has been almost invisible, so to the point where you don't even notice yourself. And you won't even categorize it as influence. For example, most people think of influence as, I will dominate your world, you'll do what I want, and that's that, right? But really, most of the day-to-day influence processes are about negotiation. What do you want? I'll help you get what you want, and then you can help me to get what I want. That kind of influence is miles above the give me what I want and screw you approach. Yes. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, completely.
Right? So the first tip of it is look at where you're successful and build on that base. The second tip then is build those win-wins. Look for ways that you're already making win-wins and ask yourself, how can I generalize that idea? Because when you know that I have your best interest at heart, then it's much more likely that you'll be willing to have my best interest at heart as well, because this is how cooperation works. Does that make sense?
Yes.
The third thing is well, there's so many different principles you can come up with, I guess. But really, it's get started. If you here's the way I look at influence in the bigger scheme, the way that I guess your audience will think about, right? I.e., in those times when we have to turn it on, so to speak, right? I consider influence as a kind of a coaching process, and here's what I mean by that. I'm going to coach someone to make a good decision.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. Now, this is an important way of looking at it. Why? Because if I coach you to make a good decision, it implies a couple of things. First of all, I've got to have your interest at heart. Otherwise, it's not coaching, right? It may be teaching as yet in school. You will do as I say, but coaching doesn't work that way. It's what do you want? Let's see if we can build that up. Okay. The other reason it's coaching to make a good decision, right, is anytime you do something, you've got to decide to do it. So there's a decision involved, right? So what makes a good decision? most of the time when we're getting frustrated that someone can't really see the value of what's going on,
Yeah.
really what we're saying is you're making a bad decision. Now you can't say that to someone because that's kind of insulting and then that's anti-influence in some ways, right?
Yeah.
But think to yourself, why is this a good decision for someone? What is it for them that if they don't make this decision, they'll miss out on? And if they do make the decision, they'll gain from that. Thinking in these terms, then you can use some. I mean, there's lots of different tools you can use. So I'm not going to go into that now because it's just we could spend weeks doing that part, right?
Of course.
But the foundation is there. Whatever tools you have at your disposal, you can then bring to bear to helping the other person make that good decision. If they make a decision in the opposite direction of what you would like them to decide, then one of two things have happened. And I can only think of two things that can have happened.
Yeah.
Number one, you didn't do your part well enough. In other words, you didn't help them to reach a good decision. You didn't help them to understand the full lay of the land and realize that this is actually a good decision for them, right?
Yeah.
The other possibility is that it's not a good decision for them. In other words, you've helped them make a good decision, and the good decision that they've made is what you're offering me is not right for me, right? And you've got to be okay with that. If you're going to be a really good influencer, you've got to be okay with the idea that what you have to offer is not for everyone. There is no one size fits all, right? And here's the crazy part. I did this some years ago. I taught a seminar, and there was it sounds almost corny, but there was a used car salesman in the room, right? A really nice guy, by the way, right?
Yeah.
And he's asking this whole thing: how do I sell more cars and so on? So I recommended to him to fire his clients. In other words, send his clients to another car dealer. He thought it was a crazy idea, right? And it sounds like a crazy idea. I get that, but just hear me out on this one, right? The framework around as well was talk to them, find out what they need. If you think you can serve that, then great, go ahead and do the sale. If you don't think you can do that, don't try and do the sale. Show them where they'll find a better deal. And now that's a bit that he was scared by.
Yeah.
But then a couple of years later, he came back to another seminar, and he was ecstatic. And here's why. When he sent people somewhere else, a couple of things happened, right? Sometimes the other dealer didn't have the deal anymore that he was thinking about. And then that person went, all right, who do I trust in this field? It's the guy who had my best interests at heart. And they came right back and bought the second best car from him, right? The other thing that happened was, much more commonly by the way, is although they went off and bought a car somewhere else, they sent all their friends, all their family, said, go talk to him. He's going to help you make a good deal, right? So a lot of times people are myopic. They see influence as a small thing, one transaction at a time.
Yes.
And maybe that's the fourth tip if we're going to have more than three, right? And that
Take
is
what I can get.
see the influence process as a history, a whole wide range of things, which means I might take a hit in this moment, but of the longer relationship, it's going to more than balance out in my favor, right?
Yes.
And when I say my favor, I don't mean that it's at your detriment. I mean, even though I might miss on one transaction, over the course of all the transactions we'll make, because you trust me, because you know I've got your best interest at heart, you're going to give me more business. You're going to hang out with me more. You're going to do whatever I want to do more. The thing that really, really, really gets people stuck is when the one transaction is do or die. Then you're screwed, because then you get needy, you get greedy, you get pushy, you get all sleazy, you get all these EDs that you don't really want to have, right? And it destroys the influence process. It actually creates anti-influence. Does that kind of make sense?
Completely. Well, that's, thank you. That's we got an extra bonus tip over there. That's pretty awesome. We will see you on another episode.